And now it's time for the first review from TapRun. Today we're going to be looking at a website called Gear5 Media. How do they do at selling their services? Let's take a look. We start off with a very beautiful screen, I suppose, of a city background. And I like this for a number of reasons. One, obviously the beautiful picture. Two, we have a nice logo. But most importantly, we have the phrase media services designed for small businesses. We can just look at the page and immediately we know pretty much what is being sold on this website. I say pretty much because I'm not exactly sure what media services are. I'm willing to bet it has something to do with the websites or logos or graphic work of some type. We'll find out. The other issue that I have is that we see a lot of skyscrapers in the background. And while that's great, it makes us think of industry. We don't really think of small business when we see skyscrapers. We think of large business. A more appropriate background may have been a small business, perhaps a small bakery, a donut shop, an accountant's office. I think just changing the background a little bit would allow people to understand exactly whom is being targeted by this company. But let's scroll on. The next section here is services. And I really like how they broke out what it is that's being sold. Unfortunately, I find it rather confusing. We see here three different categories: web, mobile, and games. And while I like the fact that things were being broken out, as we see here, the three categories don't really make much sense. Web and mobile are both platforms. They are systems upon which things are built. But games are a type of software. It's not a platform. You can have games on the web. Can have games on mobile. What we see here is something akin to seeing this is a restaurant. We serve breakfast, lunch, and hot dogs. When you break out items to be sold, you really have to make sure that each item can stand on its own, but also as a collection, part of a collection of like kinds. In this case, we do not have like kinds. Let's take a look at each one. Web. Okay, great. We make mobile-friendly designs by developing a custom framework for our clients. Already, I think a lot of small businesses are going to be lost at this point. A custom framework? Does that help me? Is that something desirable? As a non-technical viewer, I may not know. Each website has a unique, modern feel with emphasis on user experience and functionality. Again, I believe that this sentence also needs to be reworked. As a business owner, I don't want a unique, modern feel necessarily. I don't really care about user experience. I might not even know what user experience is. What I want to know is, will a website help me attain my goals? Whether that's earning money or just being found is an entirely different issue, but clearly being unique and offering a modern feel is not something that people are going to pay a premium for in the same way that they'll pay a premium for a site that makes them a lot of money. By using our skills in analytics and search engine optimization, our clients get the most out of every site we create. Now, this is the sentence that really should be focused upon. Search engine optimization, analytics, these are two fields that people pay a lot of money for, but they're stuck way at the bottom in small print. Either of those, analytics or SEO, search engine optimization, could be a business on its own. Let's take a look at mobile. Mobile, there are approximately 2 billion smartphones out there. It's safe to say the world is going mobile. Okay, this is reasonable. 2 billion people out there using mobile, you probably want to be able to connect with them. Fine. By developing native mobile applications, we create interactive experiences that users can take anywhere. Okay, interesting. Still not seeing what the pitch is to businesses. What is the value that we can create for businesses? We strive to create solid products for the iOS and Android ecosystems, covering more than 90% of the entire mobile market. So what they're saying is people have smartphones, and these developers at Gear5 Media, can build Android and iOS mobile applications that'll reach 90% of them. Okay, fine. But again, they're leaving it up to the reader to decide how to get from A, lots of people have phones, and B, these people can develop for phones, all the way to C, the customer should give them money. How is reaching these 2 billion people going to help the average small business? The average small business doesn't even reach 500 million people a year, let alone 2 billion. Let's move on to games. We develop immersive gameplay and engaging stories through games for the Wii U and Steam platforms. While we love to make websites and apps, creating a fun and entertaining experience through games is our true passion. Check out our recent development of Propulsion, a game about cats on rockets. I feel like this is really, of the three, this is the weakest section. First of all, they're basically saying, hey, remember those first two parts that you were focusing on, the parts that really would be attractive to small businesses? Forget about that. We're actually going to look at something else, gameplay. That's what we care about. But games really aren't directed to small businesses, which, according to the front page, was where this company was really focused on. If you were to click on Propulsion, you would also find it's a description of a college effort from people who were in college. I think this also reduces the credibility of the site because it leads people to think about these individuals as college students rather than as professionals. Even removing the link, especially the dialogue, check out our recent development, removing that would make the site stronger. Let's move on. What's the process? 5-step workflow. Okay, plan, design, build, deploy, maintain. This looks like a very traditional approach. Some would call it the waterfall approach. And I think because it's so standard, I don't understand what the value is that they expect customers to take from this. If anything, I would imagine that this actually hurts the customer experience because it doesn't strive to demonstrate that they will work with the customer. There's no point at which it says, interact with the customer, find out what the customer's needs are, ensure that the custom item which is being built really fulfills their needs. This would be rather easy to address, but in general, I would say take this out. If dialogue doesn't help make the sale, there's no point having it there in the first place. All it will do is serve as a distraction. Let's move on to the team. Who is Gear 5? Let's take a look. Well, there are apparently 3 members of the team, Brendan, Matt, and Brandon. The pictures look a little informal, although I suppose since we are focusing on the small business market, that's not necessarily a problem. I like here how it shows what each person focuses on. Front-end development, back-end development, business and marketing. I would imagine that many small businesses wouldn't necessarily know the difference between front-end developer and back-end developer, but I think it's good that they point this out so that either A, the technical people amongst them can figure this out, or B, they'll at least be able to figure out whom they're speaking to and ask these questions to the members of Gear5 Media. If you mouse over any of these, you'll see Twitter, a Twitter profile. I would have liked to have seen either a LinkedIn profile or a list of experience, a list of education, a list of qualifiers. I think customers need to know more than, yes, this guy has a smile and he has a Twitter account. Let's move on. And now we've arrived at the contact form. This is a very basic thing, and there really isn't that much to say. I like the fact that obviously there's a variety of contact strategies that can be employed. There's a phone number, great, an email address, and a city. Now, I do think it's a little odd that there's not an actual address listed. I think I understand why. Perhaps these people are working out of their homes or some other center, that's fine. But the fact that they list Cincinnati, Ohio makes me think that they're trying to really focus on a targeted local business clientele. And I'm rather surprised they didn't mention Cincinnati, Ohio earlier, perhaps on the front page. I think it would have been great had they said instead focusing on small businesses, but focusing on small businesses in Cincinnati, Ohio. Again, probably very easy to do. Here's a very simple contact form. Perhaps the person who's visiting the website doesn't have his email up. That's fine. Name, email. I think this last part, question, want to plan a project, let us know, is a little bit forward, but I think it's okay. Obviously, some people are more likely to just have generic questions, and I think the want to plan a project really puts the message in a reader's mind that this is for actually setting up work rather than learning more. But that's probably personal preference. And at the bottom here we have ODGE, which is a game conference, Unity, and Wii. Now, I believe that this is probably a conference that they attended, and these two are pieces of software or software technologies which they use to produce games. I think the more traditional approach is to list companies with which they have worked or performed work for. So I think it's a little bit confusing, and I would probably remove them. That being said, I think this website is beautiful and it has a lot of potential. I just like them to think more about their actual targeted customer, focus on what the customer needs, what type of information the customer wants in order to help them make the decision of whom to hire. That being said, great job, and I look forward to checking back in a few weeks or maybe a few months and seeing how they've done.